Hi, I'm Ashley Adamson. Welcome to Tea Time. This is unedited, unscripted. It's real. We're going to get into self-partnership, self-love, and really embracing this part of yourself to enable your ability to kind of go out there in the world and do things at the level that you want to, as well as take care of yourself and kind of like deal with some of that inner friction in a way that might help you gain some insight and work within a framework that might be more helpful to you than just saying just love yourself or just accept yourself. So if that's something you're interested in, we're going to jump into that today. But before we begin, if you're new to this channel, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon if you want to get notifications every day when I post these videos. I want to give a shout out to Krugos and Joanna, who mentioned self-partnership as something that they'd be interested in hearing more about. So today's video is about self-partnership. If you'd like to hear about anything in particular or want to dive into a topic, please leave a comment below. I get back to all of the comments. So without further ado, let's begin. So self-partnership is something that I started working on in November and really started to explore deeper in December when I started doing like a 28-day self-partnership intensive. And so I've learned a lot, and I actually have some notes today because I wanted to share some things with you that might help you understand how to be a better partner for yourself, how to show up more in a way that can make you feel like you're loved, you know? How do you feel when people are saying, oh, you just need to accept yourself more or just love yourself more? Like, what's your response to that question? What do you feel when that comes up? I'm like really annoyed when it comes up because I'm like, oh yeah, of course, like, duh, I should just love myself more and just accept myself more. If I could just, just do that with a magic wand, it'd be all over. But that's a much deeper thing, and a little bit that takes some practice. And so what I want to talk to you is about some practices in ways that we can be a better partner and show up. So the first thing and the most important thing is understanding that you have a self to take care of. And what I mean by this is you have your mind and you have your brain, but usually we just think of ourselves as just like the mind, the brain, everything. Anything that comes through our mind and body is just like, oh, that's us, that's me. But when you really start to look at it and dig into it more, you might find that there are more than just one version of yourself going on within your own body and mind. Have you ever heard something that just sounds a little out of character from yourself, or had conflicting feelings about something? One part of you wanted to do it, another part of you said, well, I don't think you should do it. Or one part of you felt good about something and another part said, well, maybe you shouldn't feel good. You know what I mean? Well, these are parts where we're encountering multiple parts of ourselves. And this is the most important thing to start with when we're talking about self-partnership, because what we're really talking about is we're talking about being a partner to all of yourselves. Yes, every single version of yourself. And there's probably way more than you can categorize, but once you have the ability to kind of listen and recognize that there are different parts of yourself, you can then start to work with yourself in a much deeper way. And this is the power that unlocks with self-partnership, is the ability to recognize these and then be able to embrace and give love to all of these parts, which then gives you the whole loving yourself experience, but really loving yourself. Because I hate to say this, but how often do you feel like love might be conditional, right? I love you because you make me feel good, but maybe I don't love you because you're not making me feel good right now, right? Are there parts of yourself that you feel ashamed of, or that you don't like, or that you try to avoid, or that you just deny exist? Let's be real here. Do you have those parts? I know I do. And this is sort of the thing with self-love, and the tricky part with it is we often just think we just love the parts, we give the love to the parts that we like. But the real love is giving the parts of love to the things that you don't like within yourself, the parts that you've judged, the parts that you've stepped away and said, I don't like that, I don't want that. Yeah, that just came up for me Has anything come up for you when thinking about some of these parts of yourself that you don't like or that you don't want? Yeah. So these parts need love too. And this is the power of self-love in self-partnership, is embracing these. So that's kind of a little bit of the setup. Let's talk about actually practicing this. So I don't normally do active meditations, but we're going to do one today. So I'd like you to take a second to just take a breath. Let's just take a breath for a second. And let's do one more. Are you ready to jump in this with me? Are you still with me? Shall we do this? Are you up for it? Okay, so we're relaxing a little bit. Now let's just take a second to listen what's going on inside our heads. Now I'm just gonna be quiet for a second, but just take a second to listen what you start hearing inside your head. I'll give you 10 seconds. What's coming up for you? What are you hearing? Okay, so we're gonna step out and we can open our eyes again. That was just like a little sample, but I would like you to try that out at some point that you have, whether you're in the shower, taking a bath, going to bed, waking up. When you have some downtime, take a second to listen to the voices that are going through your body. Sometimes it might not be in your head. You might even feel it somewhere in your body. But take a second to recognize that they exist. And when you can give that a try, you can then start to notice how they have different flavors to them, how they have a different essence, how they have a different attitude, a different stance, a different philosophy sometimes. And this is giving you a characterization of these voices that helps you recognize where they're coming from and also recognize when they come up. So that's the first thing, giving the parts of you that may have not had a voice to have a voice. It's a pretty powerful thing because we all have an inner child, but how often does your inner child get a voice? It's one of the weirdest things that came up for me in self-partnership is when I started giving parts of myself a voice that didn't have them. I found a lot of negative things that didn't get to express themselves, but expressed themselves without language in ways that were stress or anxiety. And once I gave them a voice, they just said, hey, this is what I want, this is what I need. Now that I have a voice, I'm trying to express this. And then I was able to give it to them or say, no, that's not true. Don't be anxious about that. That's okay. And you're gonna be okay, you know? So we're kind of like moving towards acknowledging the voice, seeing all of it. And then here's the second part. And I have a larger series on this that I recorded a while ago. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to release it. I was totally gonna I was working on a program I was gonna sell, but honestly, I just shelved it and I'd love to give it to you if you think it's of value. I'd love to give you a more drawn out series on this, but if you'd like, let me know. I'll give it to you. I'll release it on YouTube. Now the second part is loving yourself, right? So now that we can acknowledge that there's different voices within our own being, the reaction to them is the other part. How do we react? When you hear a voice that you don't like, do you push it away? Do you kind of hide from it? Do you kind of like run away? Do you react to it and kind of like hate it? What comes up for you? Like think of a time when you have a negative voice that says something. What's your reaction, right? So this is the thing we want to work on and calibrate is instead of reacting in a reactionary way, let's be proactive and give it something. Give it love. And that's sort of like however you want it to show up. For me, I like to imagine myself showing up for that voice wherever it is and just embracing it and just being like, I love you, 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 I love you. Just like how I give hugs in real life. So like that kind of embrace, it just smother the negativity with love, just give it so much love, it just has to go, ah, and scream out and just like let go, right? This is a practice and this takes time. But if you do this to the negative parts of yourself, the parts that kind of drag you down or the parts that are scared, you'll start to notice that in a few days, a few weeks, they'll start to change their tone to be more positive. They'll start to be a little bit better with you, and you'll really start to progress in ways that would completely surprise you. So that's a brief on self-partnership. Thank you for joining me today. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon if you'd like notifications when I post these every day. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What are some things you want to hear about more? And how's your day going? How are you? I'm Ashley Adamson. This is Tea Time, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.